Scalar 3 has just been released, and it's a major upgrade from the most popular music theory and chord tool, Scalar 2. So we're going to be taking a look at Scalar 3, show off what it can do, and see how it is. Not sponsored, by the way. I did get it sent to me for free, but they do not have any say on what I can or cannot say in this video, so everything I say will be my complete and honest opinion. Let's get to it. Alright, so here we are in Scalar. Also, I am rocking the natural lighting right now, so as clouds pass and stuff like that, the lighting will change. So if you don't know what Scalar is, it's essentially like a chord and music theory tool. So it really helps if you don't really know too much music theory or you're really trying to learn. It's a really good tool for that. And I'll show you guys why. On the main page, it's broken up into 3 different sections. Here you can find chords. Here's where you set your scale. Now, if you don't really want to come up with your own chords and you kind of want to just have a set scale, so I can just set C major real quick. And as you can see, it'll show you what the C major scale is, which is all white notes. And it'll also give you the chords in the scale. So this is your 1 chord, all the way to your 7 chord. And what you can do is you can change these chords into sevenths. So now all these chords are sevenths. There's the different voicings and versions, a bunch of other stuff. And if you hit this right here, as you can see, this will light up. And if you have a MIDI keyboard, you'll be able to play out the chords without having to click them. You can just, mess around and come up with different progressions. And I think this way is definitely more intuitive and more fun, especially if you have a MIDI keyboard instead of clicking. But if you don't want chords and you just want to be able to play in the right scale, you can click this key lock. Now what happens is if you play out a key, it will automatically lock you in. So for example, with this off, I'm allowed to hit the C sharp, right? But with it on, when I hit C sharp, it will automatically play C. See, I'm just hitting black notes right now, but it's automatically pushing it to the white notes. That way I'll never play out of scale. So if you're like starting out and don't really play like that, you could set it to a scale that's not just the white notes, and you can just play the white notes if you're more comfortable, and it will snap it to the scale. Well, let's go into the chords. So if you go here, you can go to common progressions, find like the ones that you hear about, you know what I mean? But for the people who don't really know chords and stuff like that, I think the best way to do it is go under genres and look for a genre or a mood, like what you're trying to convey. You know what I mean? If you want like some dark stuff, some dreamy stuff, go to dreamy, go to 80s 3. Change the key and give you a bunch of different chords. Now these chords up here are the progression from the 80s 3, and these chords right here are the chords in this scale. So let's hear what it sounds like. So you can click these or you click this play. Now we got this area C right here, right? This is where you build your own progressions. For example, if I like this chord, but I don't want it to go here, I would drag this here, and I just say I want this to be elongated. I can pull that as well. So now it becomes... And then we can go back. Now we have our own progression here. But let's build something out real quick, get a quick chord progression. All right, so I found this R&B 9 preset that I really liked. And I dragged them down to create my own progression. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this right here and then drag it into my DAW. And now I have the full chord progression right here. Now you got a really nice progression to build on. So now we're back in Scalar, and I want to use it to add a melody. You can go here to the perform section, and then you can find some stuff, some built-in melodies, and what it will do is it'll read what chords you have set here and create melodies with them. You don't even have to click them. You can just click play and it will just do it. You know, what I like about it is you can get like a little previews by just clicking it. I'm gonna click this one. It's a little quick, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go halftime. And then you can drag it in and the MIDI will follow the pattern. For the first one we export it as MIDI, but you can also export it as audio. So scalar can be used as two different versions. It can be used as an instrument as well as a MIDI effect. So for the first two, I used it as a MIDI effect, which means I had an instrument loaded up, and then I put this as a MIDI effect. But if you want to use it as an instrument, you can as well. And what you can do is you go here, I already have it set up, but you can check out your instruments that it scans and load VST instruments into Scalar for it to host. So I have Analog Lab loaded up. If you click this, plugin itself will pull up and then you can do what you gotta do inside it. So for this one, what I did was I set it to bass in the expressions. I just went to common bass, went to basic and did the basic 2. And I pulled it out and I edited a little bit and this is what we got. And just for fun, let's add some simple drums. Now, there's actually a lot more that Scalar can do that I'm going to briefly go over. I personally myself haven't really dived into everything yet, so I'm only really going to speak on the things that I have. Like, it's actually a really deep plugin. I will say though, from using it, I didn't really find it very easy to use. There is a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff you can do, but you kind of have to figure it out yourself or, you know, read the manual to really understand what's happening. I will say though, once you dive into it and really figure it out, you can really get a lot out of it. But we've really only been on this main tab right here. Most people will probably just use this main tab, but let's move on to the second tab. This tab is more used for chord discovery. You can really dive in and just discover chords that move together. And the different shades of blue is kind of about how similar the chords are. This is kind of useful if you want to leave your key. A lot of different genres do use notes and chords that leave the notes and chords of their scale. And this is kind of how you can go through it. The dark blue are part of the scale, while the lighter blue are kind of leaving it. The gray is just like, these chords aren't really similar at all. And you can do the same thing here. You can set a bunch of different parameters. And then you can change voicing. And you can put down a bunch of different ideas. So you can like drag chords in and just put down some ideas to find which ones you really want to use. That way you don't have to constantly switch out the chords you have in your main track. Switch the scalar session a little bit, just because I forgot to mention that it has internal sounds as well. So if you don't want to use an external VST to use the MIDI features, you can go into the sounds itself. Look, you got piano sounds, synth sounds, guitar sounds, and a bunch more. So we're gonna use this for the third tab, which is our arrangement window. So what we're going to do is we can add stuff. So phrases, common phrases, basic. Let's just do basic 4. And you see it does pop up under here. And you got your mixer window. You can choose if you want the phrase to be quieter. You can even change the sound. Make it a synth. Let's just make it this. You can edit the notes, but as soon as you edit, it will turn red. And then you can just keep adding if you want a bunch of different phrases. You can even add audio effects, bounce it out into audio, and you'll have a fully arranged sample or loop. So that's Scalar 3. I think it's a great tool for chords, scales, and music theory, especially if you're not too well versed in a lot of music theory. It's a great learning tool, and it's also a great way to start and come up with ideas. I mentioned this earlier, but I feel like the one downside is that there's just a lot going on, and it's not too intuitive, at least not for me. When I first started using it, I kind of had to like figure it out. It wasn't like, oh, just do this, do this, do this, and you got to figure it out. And also the sheer amount of features does make it overwhelming, but you'll quickly realize that a lot of these features you'll probably never use. They're definitely made for specific people, and they're trying to like cover all their grounds. So for example, me personally, I'll probably never use this arrange window, especially because I'm probably going to do all my arranging within my DAW. I'm sure some people will find use for it, but it just doesn't have a place in my workflow. But besides that, I think it's a great tool, especially if you want to learn or just, use it to discover new progressions that you haven't used before. So it has something for everyone. Like if you're a beginner, it can help you learn a lot of chords and keys, but it can also be handy if you're more knowledgeable because you can use it to discover new chords that you haven't used before, help you put together new ideas and stuff like that. But if you're interested in Scalar, link down below in the description. Check it out. But that's me for this one. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment, let me know exactly what you think. Subscribe for more videos. And be sure to check me out on my social medias and my music on all platforms, all linked down below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
They don't know what it takes for you to chase your dreams. All these sacrifices, don't know what it brings. This just feels so right, yeah. This just feels so right, yeah.